So now we're going to take a look at another way of working with this part. In this particular case, we're going to look at how we might want to rough this part out. So we might want to go down in certain levels to rough this part. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do here is tell it the general toolpath in a 2D sense of what we want to do. So let's pick a machine, and let's just define a tool. We could pick one out of the library if you have it, or whatever you want to do. That's not the important part here. And we're going to use a pocket back and forth, and we're going to tell it to go to a depth of 1/2 inch. I'm going to put this in a macro, and now we're going to pick the geometry. Now there's a lot of different ways of picking geometry. In this particular case, so there's a lot of different ways, but in this case, a boundary loop of this surface here, and we want that one right there. I'll just speed it up here. That is correct for the last pass. Are there islands? No, there's not. And for the purpose of this, we'll show that the cut, as the 2D cut, would be cutting the entire area, cutting right through those bosses that are in the middle and all that kind of stuff. But it gives you the idea of what the cut is going to be. Good. And now the next step. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to project that macro. So when we click on project onto a surface, we have just the straightforward projection, but the auto rough is what we're going to use here. So what we're going to do is tell it that we're going to go 200 thousandths between pecks, and I think we're good on everything else. Let's see what we get. Now, for picking the surfaces, we could go and click on all the individual surfaces, but we do have a feature that's much easier for this kind of situation, which is inside of. And again, we can pick the boundary loop and pick that boundary loop.
Oh, and then the holes thing. We don't have any holes, will we? Well,
if there was holes,
yeah,
if there's holes, we can say we don't want any holes that are a diameter of 150 or less. So now you see that it found all the surfaces for us in one easy shot. So you see it going up and down over those surfaces. It actually might be easier to see this in the wireframe.
Because we're not leaving the trail.
Yeah.
Solve this wire we show the trail?
I don't know. Anyway. And so on. Just pause it for right now so you can get it.
Yeah, for guys that have.
Okay, so the cut is done. Now I'm just going to flip it over here to wireframe so you can see that toolpath there. It's easier to see the toolpath in the wireframe sometimes. One thing you have to watch out for is making sure that the surfaces are on the correct side. If they're not, you see that they come through to the wrong side. In that case, you're going to go to Modify Surface Side. You're going to click on those surfaces that need to be switched to the other side. And that might just fix it up for you. Now you see those corners are not coming to the outside of the surfaces. That's exactly what we needed to do. For example, in here you see that the planes are on the wrong side. I think we've switched those around. But you get the idea. I don't want to belabor the point. You need to switch the surfaces to make sure that they're on the correct sides. So sometimes there's going to be issues with some surfaces, and you may have to go clean it up in some way or something like that. But for the right kind of part, this can really help you out. Yeah. So one thing about this particular cut kind is that it won't recut sections of the surface. As it roughs to one depth, when it comes to get the next deeper depth, it will wrap it over, up and over the section that it had previously cut. So you won't have to it won't be recutting a lot of the material.